what App Engine is and how we can serve some static files, we're actually going to show how we can do that step by step. So the last set of slides, they walked you through it, but sometimes seeing it works a little bit better. So let's start off by going into our GitHub. So we're going to go into GAE, Google App Engine -Web Dev. And for this, we're going to look at step 01. And here we're going to have our simple static files walkthrough.md. We're gonna load this into the Teach Me tool. So we're going to teach me static files walkthrough.md. And this is going to get us through this process very straightforward, step by step. So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to make a directory for our static files folder. So let's go ahead and copy that and run that command. So now we should have that. If we look for it, we should see it there, static files folder. And now we're going to move into that directory. Okay, so that gets us started, and you can see if we print our working directory, home, and then there's me, and then GAE Web Dev Step 1, Static Files Folder. Then from here, we're going to create a HTML file. So we can create that by using the touch command that just creates a file or updates its timestamp. And then we can edit it if we want to edit it directly. We can type nano.index.html. You can also use VI, or you can use the editor. So if I hit this, then there we go. This brings it up, and I can just copy and paste this code in. HTML body. This is an HTML file. There we go. We could also go into the editor and we could take a look, and GAE Web Dev and Step 01 under Static Files folder. There it is. So, depending on your preference, sometimes the editor works a little bit better, but sometimes when your hands are already on the keyboard, you can move faster using a text editor like Nano or VI or Emacs. Okay, and the next step, we're going to move back to our main directory. So cd ... Go ahead and hit enter. And then we're going to create our app.yaml file. Touch that app.yaml, and now we can see it's there. If we use ls, we can see all the files. It's app.yaml's right there. Now again, you can edit it using Nano, or you could edit it using the editor. In fact, if you edit it using Nano, you probably don't even have to touch it first. You can just edit it and save it that way. So let's go ahead, and in our app.yaml, we're going to copy this and we're going to paste. And as I said before, we want to make this Python 3.10. You could use Python 3.9, it's fine, but this is the latest version that's supported on App Engine. So you can see here we're going to take every request that comes into our site with the /static, and then anything that follows that, we're going to map that to our static files folder. So if somebody requests a file here called style.css, we're going to look in that static files folder to see if that file exists, and then everything else is going to go into our Python script. So we're going to write that out, and then we're going to exit, go back, and then we're going to move into our next step here. So we're going to, just to show how you can skip this, we're gonna skip it this time. We're going to just go right to nano main.py and copy all this in and paste that. There we go. So that's all done now. Okay, and then so here's another one, Flask 201. This one is a little bit out of date too, so I should change this in the GitHub. But we can do this very quickly. So echo allows us to have a command echoed back to us, and we're going to say 2.1.0 because I believe that's the latest version of Flask that can be used. In fact, you don't actually even have to enter the version. You can just it's generally pretty good to be specific about the versions, because some minor things can happen between different versions. If you're testing, you don't want that behavior to be changed, but we're going to use 2.10 here, so we're just going to change it and specify that version. And I'm going to hit enter, and now we have this requirements, and if we want to see what's in that, you can just type more requirements.txt, and then you can see that's the contents there. We could also use a text editor to see it, and there we go. It's all there. So now we're going to run the dev app server. This is a pretty useful tool because if we just run Python 3 main.py, then this will work. We can actually use this to run our, to take a look at our Python script, the things that are being handled by the Python script. And if we look at this, we should be able to see it's going to come up and it's going to say this is not HTML. But the problem is, if I change this URL to static index.html, it's not going to do anything. And the reason it's not going to do anything is because the only thing that's running here is the Python code. It's not actually running the app engine parts of this. It's not doing anything with the app.yaml. So in order to do that, we need to start using the app server here. So the development app server. So to do this, we just type dev app server.py and then the YAML file we want to load. And if I hit enter, now this is going, I'm going to have to authorize this, and you might have to log in here, but for right now this should work. So this is coming up, and here we go. It's loading, and once this is loaded, we should be able to now see both the Python side of this, and if I preview this on port 8080, you can see this is not HTML, and then if I type in static index.html, there you can see this is an HTML file. So going back and forth here, this one is not HTML. It's a monospace font there, and I think this is Times New Roman. It looks like is the default font there. So you can kind of see the differences between those. And just to show, just to kind of demonstrate how this works, if we hit Control C and close down that dev server. If I go back into my static files folder and I do something like nano test.txt, this is plain text, just to kind of show that this is going to map anything, any requests for files directly to those files. If you can see now, there's a test.txt. If I load up my dev app server again, so we can just hit that right from the Teach Me tutorial. Oh, we've got to go back down one folder. There we go. All right. So we got to run the, see, it's easy to make mistakes. Sometimes you're not in the right folder. Once this is loading, we should get this all ready to go. This is good to go. So now when we hit web preview, we're going to get that same page again, but now I should be able to go to that test.txt file that I created, and then you can see that's there as well. So it's just taking any requests and mapping that directly to that static files folder. So that should get you started on your very first, your very first deployment here, your very first project, loading these. If we wanted to actually deploy these, all we would have to do is type gcloud app deploy. Oh, I got to type it right. I got big heavy fingers here. So there we go. And I can deploy that now to my actual application, so you could see it publicly. It's not the most interesting thing I've ever published. Probably not the least interesting thing I've ever published either. And this will take a moment just to upload, but as soon as that's ready, you should be able to go to CS1520.appspot.com and see what our results are there, which should be our script, our HTML file, and then that simple text file that we just deployed. So now if I take a tab and I go to cs1520.appspot.com and hit enter, it should be the exact same application. This is not HTML, and then if we go to the static index.html, there we go. So same thing out there publicly in the universe. All right, hopefully this was helpful in understanding how to deploy some of these static files and map some of your files. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up again soon on how we can do more with HTML and some of these static capabilities.